And we are back here on Metal Nation Radio. I am Rustin Rose of Metalholic magazine, and tonight we are talking to the Thunderthroat himself, Mr. Todd La Torre of Queensryche. How are you doing, my friend?
I am well. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. You know, I've been waiting to talk with you now for months. It's like every time we talk about setting this up, something happens, and we never quite get there. So I'm glad that we finally are getting around to chatting a little bit, because there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, thank you.
First, I have to ask you, we're already like halfway into the month. How many New Year's resolutions have you broken already?
I can't, well, none. I live when I'm not on the road, my life is I'm a hermit. You know, I kind of just stay in the house, and I don't really go out much, or I'll go see some friends and my mom and things like that. But I'm not a drinker. I'm not a partier. You know, I'm not trying to lose weight. Probably need to gain weight. But things are great. I spent my New Year's in Greece and proposed to what was my girlfriend, and so I'm now engaged, and things are going awesome, and we're working on the record, and this is going to be a great year. I'm very optimistic and hungry for what this year is going to bring personally and professionally.
Absolutely, and I saw that. Congratulations on that. She's a beautiful woman.
Thank you, man.
And I am definitely looking forward to what you're going to be doing with Queensryche this year, because you guys have been talking about putting these songs together for a while. But, it's sort of funny, because you said it yourself. You're sort of an introvert. You were always a drummer hidden behind the kit.
Yeah.
You finally stepped out a little bit with Crimson Glory, but how do you reconcile getting up in front of the stage with, were you ready for that when it was like, wow, I'm going to go from this introverted kid behind the kit to I'm fronting Queensryche, one of the most noted bands in rock history?
Well, good question. When I joined Crimson Glory, that was obviously a huge stepping stone. I thought that, I've made it. Like, I'm in magazines in different countries around the world, and I'm, gaining some notoriety for this kind of cult followed band that was a pioneering band of the genre, but I'm an emotional person, and a lot of artists really kind of are, and I wasn't used to, people talking about me, and you would read bad things, and people are just shitty sometimes, and for no reason, and it's just it's hard to be positive in a negative world sometimes, and so I had to kind of toughen up my skin once I was doing shows and touring. I was always comfortable on the stage, but yeah, drums were my blanket. I always felt very naked and exposed and kind of vulnerable on, out front like that. But when I talked with Michael Wilton at the NAMM convention, and, when I got into Rising West, which was a side band, in my heart, I was like, okay, well, this is Queensryche, but they were just really, they didn't pressure me at all, just do what you do. And I had a blast doing it, and it was, obviously surreal. And then when I was named the new singer of Queensryche, there were some moments that were like, wow, because when I was doing Rising West, I thought, I don't care what you call it, this is Queensryche to me. And then there was that sliver that said, boy, but wouldn't it just be amazing if I actually saw that name next to my name, or my name affiliated with the name, directly that way. And so when that happened, it was like, wow, overwhelming. But I had already had enough experience live. I've played hundreds of shows as a drummer and played a little guitar and did a solo thing for a very brief time where I sang and played guitar and tried to kind of do that. But when I got into Queensryche, it was a whole nother level, and I didn't feel nervous, really. It was more of, I want to make these guys proud. The fans, obviously, I want them to like what I'm doing. But first and foremost, I felt this heartfelt desire to really please Michael first, because he's the one that really brought me into the fold of the band. And then all of the other guys, accepted me. But for the whole band, I just wanted to make them proud. And I'll drift to another story really quick. I've done a little over, I think, 100 shows now with the band. And right when we started, we had a couple shows in Oregon. And the one night, I was noticing I got a really bad sinus infection. It was like fifth or sixth show maybe that I was in the band, and the next night we had to cancel. And it was literally just a few hours prior to showtime. And I didn't cry, but I felt like just breaking down in the dressing room. Like, I feel so horrible. Like, here's this amazing, iconic singer they've had for so long, and here's me, supposed to be, this great thing, because they can have anybody in the world they want. Right. And why me, And I remember talking to Eddie and just feeling so horrible, like for like a month or two. I remember talking to everybody in the band and saying, I really hope that, you're not disappointed in me, and I hope that you feel like you really got the right guy. And they said, dude, stop doing that. Get out of your head. You're sick. These are not easy songs to sing, and you're doing when you're on fire, and it happens. You're human. Don't, just have fun, get over your sinus infection, and we're going to kick ass. And finally, I just said, you know what? Yeah, I got to let this go. When I'm home and I'm singing like really great, it's no different. So a lot of it's psychological. When I got on the stage with Queensryche and the overwhelming positive feedback really kind of reinforced and helped my psychology. I don't want to name names, but there are some prominent sites where you can leave comments, and people are just dicks. And I don't even read that stuff. I don't go on. If there's a new press release from a couple of websites, I don't even click on the link. I don't even care, because I know that there's trolls, and there's some people that are positive and support, but overall it's like, I just can't have any negativity in my life, man. And so if they're not conducive to what we're doing, I don't want any part of it. And the fans of the band have been overwhelmingly supportive. They know that I'm singing songs that weren't mine. I'm doing the best to represent them. I put a little of my own spin on it. I'm just human. I'm doing the best that I can, and everyone's happy in the band finally, and everyone is enthusiastic, and we're getting better shows now. I mean, we're booked for Wacken. Queensryche's never played Wacken. We're playing some really great festivals in Europe. We're getting all the bigger shows in the States, M3, Rockville, Carolina Rebellion, all these great bigger festivals. And so it's definitely a testament, and there's definite growth in the band, and that's empowering psychologically. It's a big head game, as a musician. They call it like red light fever, when you're recording. You'll do whatever you need to do perfect, and then they hit the record button, and then you mess up, and shit, do it again. It's kind of the same thing, and you just got to tune all that out and just have a good time. I think if you're having fun first, you can get out of your head, and then you'll really shine.
We're 2.5 years basically into returning the shine to Queensryche, if you will. The Empire is thriving again. The fans are responding loudly. Have you guys really even had time to absorb how profoundly different things are after releasing a successful new album and finding the Reich faithful regaining their rabid form?
Well said. And hugely complimentary. Thank you. I think that before I was in the band, I was a huge fan, and I was very much in tune with what the fan base thought. When you're in the band and you're doing your own thing and you're working as a group, there becomes a bit of a separation. I feel that I'm, and no disrespect to the guys in the band, but that's what they've always done. So people look at them like, wow, oh my God, it's Scott Rockenfield or Michael Wilton or and I see them as my friends now. I respect them immensely, but the dynamic changes. So to answer your question, I'm glad to hear that, the perception out there is positive and that people feel like, okay, we're our band is back, at least in the best way that it can, despite the circumstances. But I think that it's better overall because, as a fan, for the last 10 plus years, I never bought a Queensryche record. I wasn't interested. It was going adult contemporary, and I wasn't hearing what I knew that they were, what I grew to love. And there was a reason for that. And so now with this shift and the lawsuit's over and everybody got what they wanted, hence an agreement outside of the courts, everything has really kind of settled into place, and there are really great supporters of this band that fly from all over the world to see the band, and that's a huge statement. That's a huge statement. So I'm thankful that, on behalf of everyone in the band, that people are coming back out of the woodworks and they're going, hey, well, what's going on with Queensryche now? It was tough with two bands touring under the same name. It was very hard. It's saturating the market. There's one band charges this amount and the other band charges a different amount. And so when you're trying to, you can't please every fan. Oh, why aren't you here? They think that we don't, why aren't you playing in this area? And it's like, we want to, but there's a lot of dynamics involved to touring and booking and, the right time, the promoter, all the expenses of touring are astronomical. And so it just has to make sense. We can't lose money. We have to earn a living. And so, I kind of went all over your question there, so I'm sorry. But in closing to that is there's a bit of a separation when you're in the band, and sometimes you feel, I don't want to say that out of touch with what the fans are saying or thinking, because we're very in tune with that. But there becomes a point where you say, okay, we have to just focus on the music and do what we feel is best musically for us. Also keeping in mind what the fan base wants to hear, because, they don't want to hear what you're playing. They're not going to come to your shows and you're out of a job. That's just the way it is. So you have to be mindful. And so we do pay attention to what people, say they want to hear on the next record, or how well received the record was that I was on with them in 2013. I'm on both. I played both sides of the fence because I was a huge fan, and now I'm in the band.
Right.
So I'm able to look at it with a slightly different perspective.
You were busy with some other stuff too over this last year. You and Glen Drover did the Discordia thing. Give us a little backstory on that, because you guys ended up winning a Music Enthusiast Award for that track.
Yes, I met Glenn in Canada. We played a show, and he joined us on stage for a song, and we had an instant connection, and he's a really great guy. And so we kept in touch. And very long story short, because I can talk forever, he said, hey, I'm doing a record, and I'm having a bunch of guest people on it, and let me know if it's something you'd be interested in. I have like maybe one or two songs left. And I said, wow, what an honor. That would be great. Yeah, throw me a song. So he did, and I heard it, and I went, wow, this is my shit right here. I love this. This is, heavy, and it's melodic, and it's, the guitars are crunching, and everything is like just so what I love. And I wrote the lyrics and the melodies very quickly and tracked them at my home studio and sent them back to him, and he was like, wow. I mean, he was really impressed, and it was perfect. So later I just said, he said, do you want to do another one? And honestly, I just said to him, look, with everything going on with the band, I have to be very careful with what I want to do versus perception of Queensryche's fan base thinking, geez, they just won the lawsuit and now he's out working with other people. There cannot be a deviation from Queensryche. I said, Queensryche is, number one priority and always will be. And so, I think that the one for now is good. And at a later point in time, no rush, a later point in time, I would love to do something else, do another song, or, maybe do so many songs do an EP just for fun. Nothing to tour on, no band to assemble, just another musical outlet. Queensryche is amazing, but Queensryche's not really, really heavy. Never was.
Right.
Queensryche heavy is like, and at 156, The Warning, and it's heavy, but it's not heavy in terms of what I consider really heavy. And so I'm a huge power metal and thrash metal guy. And so I want to do the death growls and the ridiculously high Halford style of screams and singing, and I can do all that stuff. I'm not damaging, the Queensryche style and sound, because I'm not a one-trick pony. I can sing in many different styles. So it's a fun way for me to be able to do those things. And, life is short. This is my time. These guys have done this for over 30 years. They've, collaborate with whoever they want. And it's like, wow, I'm getting these amazing opportunities. I hate to pass this up. I don't want to be some musical whore that just jumps on anything, but there are circumstances where I say, wow, this is just, as an artist, as a musician, as a fan, there are opportunities that, I want to do them personally. I don't care if it makes a red cent. I just want to do it, and so I've done that, and Glen is an awesome guy, and the people that voted on that for the award that you're talking about, there were over 100,000 voters, and we got like 40% of the vote for that song, best song, metal song or whatever of 2014, and it was awesome. I mean, we didn't expect anything close to that. I mean, when he called me or emailed me, he was like, "Holy shit, dude, check this out," and the views on YouTube were going really well, and I talked with Eddie Trunk, and he said he really dug it. He would play it on his syndicated show, and just pump it out there and just let the fans hear something. So that was a lot of fun, and one day I'll do something again with Glen, but obviously my priority is Queensryche, and this is a huge machine, and I'm not going to jeopardize anything like that. But the guys have been very supportive, and it's all a matter of timing. Once the dust settles, once the new record's out, once we've toured and done some things, and there's okay, you want to go do your own music just for you. I've talked about a solo record for years, and it's something I really want to do. It's something, I have my own music that doesn't fit in Queensryche.
Right. And
it's heavier. It's a lot more brutal. And so eventually I will record my own record and put that out, just to put it out. Probably would never, I doubt that I would form a band, although if I could play, a show or two just to do it, it would be fun. But Queensryche's always number one, is always going to be number one. I'll never leave Queensryche, and I will always be in the band for as long as they'll have me. It's a position that I honor and respect immensely.
Well, it's funny, there's that weird ironic thing going on there where you ended up doing this with Glen, and Glen was originally going to do that project with Tate and quickly pulled out of it.
Yeah, there was a recent interview that I listened to with Glen, and he was asked about that, and he explained in it like, I was just a guy in a room with these other people taking pictures, and we never played one note together. He said, I didn't know it was going to be called Queensryche also, and he didn't like that. He says it in the interview. I'm not spilling dirt that I shouldn't. I mean, in his words, he just didn't feel right about it. Things didn't feel good to him, and so he bowed out gracefully and as respectful as he could. He had nothing bad to say about anybody personally. It was just a situation that he felt, maybe this isn't the best thing for me, and I don't know that I want to go there. Right. And so he didn't. And he's got tons of other things that he's doing musically that are really awesome. And so, everything happens for a reason. But yeah, it was, the press and the fans kind of made a thing out of it, like, well, he was, on paper for in the blink of an eye, he was on paper, a member of the other band, and then he came on stage and joined us, and then here we are doing something, and it just, things just happened naturally. I mean, nothing was forced. It just worked, and so Glen's is a good friend of mine, and we talk regularly, and he's an amazing guitar player and very diverse playing, and so I've been fortunate enough to become friends, like close friends, with a few people in the industry. Michael Sweet being one of them, right. Jeff Scott Soto is another. Tony Harnell has become a friend. And so there's a small handful of people that I've always looked up to and respected and admired. And so at some point, maybe there will be a collaboration with any one of those guys down the road for something for fun or whatever. But that's how that whole Glen Drover thing came to be. And it's a killer song, I like to know, what would an album sound like,
Well, and speaking of guitars and guitar virtuosos, I believe you and Whip are also doing something with Michelangelo Batio, how we
Yeah. Michael Angelo would not want to know that I don't know how to pronounce his last name correctly. I don't know if it's Badio, I've heard it pronounced many ways. I think it's Badio, but I could be wrong. Yeah, I was a fan of his playing in my teens. There was this guy that nobody, the speed and the articulation of everything was just like very precise, super shredder. And so I was reached out by their camp, and I talked with Michael on the phone, and asked, hey, would you like to do a song or two on this record, and blah, blah, blah. And I said, yeah, as long as, I wanted to clear it with the guys just to make sure that, everything was cool. It wasn't conflicting with something. And then I found out, oh, well, Michael's on it. Oh, well then, yeah. if he's doing it, then I can do it. So I just said, sure. So, yeah, that's another, little thing to add to a discography or guest appearance or something like that. And, Mark Tremonti from Alter Bridge is on it, and
right.
Jeff Loomis, who's amazing, is on it, and, guys from Metal Church, and so it'll be cool.
Queensryche, you have been talking about writing this entire year pretty much, and you were talking about getting in the studio in December and into January.
Yeah.
Are you guys actually in the studio recording now? Where are you at in the process of this whole thing?
Okay. We're still in the demo thing. We're not we've got 15 plus songs that most of them are all there. We're doing pre-production right now. There's still, I got an email from Scott, hey, new songs coming your way soon. Okay, great. I'm hopeful that we can start tracking next month. I was hoping we would be tracking in, by right now, but we're just not going to rush. Like the label Century Media, they're awesome. Nobody's up our ass saying, hey, come on now, you got to get this. It's not like we're dragging really, but with touring and then the lawsuit and our personal lives and trying to write songs, and I live in Florida, they're in Seattle, so it's not like I'm in the same room with them every week working on things. It takes time. And this is the sophomore record with me in the band. So that's a scary thing, because you can like the songs, but you don't know how it's going to be perceived. And so, when you've got 5 guys that everyone has different musical backgrounds, and we all have a common likeness for a style and sound, but, I'm always pushing for it's a fine line, because I'm always pushing for heavy.
Right.
And, it has to be Queensryche. It can't be over the top heaviness. I don't want to change the dynamic. Nobody in the band wants to change the real core sound and dynamic and style of the band. With that being said, Queensryche's never been afraid to try new things, and, vocally, the songs that we have right now are, I would say, melodic. There are, some heavy tunes on there that are just really rocking. Some of the songs remind me again of Rage for Order, Mind Crime. We'll probably slip in something that's, got a commercial, not that we're trying to, something with a more commercial appeal, like the song In This Light did on the record that I did before. But overall, I'm hopeful that when it's all said and done, this record will have a really good drive, great melodic choruses, great guitar parts, very dynamic, a little more prog. There's a little more proggy elements, some definite memorized things that you can't just, wing it.
Right.
So there's a lot, when you've got 2 years, people go, you don't want them to say, wow, that's the best they could come up with. You never want that. You always want, hell yeah, this is another great Queensryche record. And that's all that you can really hope for. But it's definitely going to have again, what I consider all of the elements that the true Queensryche fan will enjoy. Great drumming, solid foundation, bass driven, great guitar work and harmony things. Vocally, there's some things where I get into the upper register, pretty good. And, I always want to keep that metal, Sometimes I think they get sick of hearing me say that. I'm like, I want to melt their fucking faces off, what I mean? But I have to do what the music calls for. And, overall, it's been a great process. It's always a learning experience. I'm finding as a songwriter what kind of my stylistic things are musically. And, I love Alice in Chains harmonies. They always had these interesting harmonies in their music.
Right.
And I always find myself when I'm writing and I'm recording and doing new things, I kind of lean on those types of harmonies, and so I'm finding things about myself as a writer that I didn't know before. And so it's a lot of fun. We're super eager to get these songs totally wrapped up and get in the studio. And once we start tracking, it's going to be a smooth process, because everyone knows the songs. Everyone will be prepared, and we'll go in there and, really hammer things out. I'm hopeful that maybe we can throw a teaser out in the very near future, just a little sample of something for people to hear, like we did before. We did with the song Redemption. I think we did a little compilation of, snippets of some songs just to give the listeners a sliver of the material. And so that's always exciting, they get to hear something for the first time. I drive around in my car with the CD, with all these songs, and, and I try to step outside and go, okay, do I like this? As a Queensryche fan, am I really vibing with this? And I have a couple friends that'll come over and I'll play it. I'll say, okay, give me your honest opinion. Do you like it? Do you not like it? What do you love about it? What do you not like about it? Give me your honest feedback. And it's always good to have a fresh set of ears and people that can tell it to you straight.
Right.
Musicians that I respect, that okay, yeah, that's a good idea. Or, I didn't hear that. I'm glad that you told me about that, because sometimes you get tunnel vision and you're working on something. You have to really step away and take a break, go back to that song a couple days later, and then listen to it again. And is it still resonating? Yes, it still is. Okay, we got a winner. Or, you know what? It's not quite there. What do we need to do? Oh, it needs to set up the chorus better. Okay, well, let's talk about that. What do we need to do? Is it a key change? Is it a vocal thing? Is it a tempo issue? What do we have to do? And that's where the real art comes in. It's not easy to do.
I'm so looking forward to all of this, and it's just so exciting hearing about how it's coming together. And you sort of mentioned this earlier because you were a fan, obviously, before you were in the band.
Yep.
You have a unique perspective because you have the double privilege of being a member of the band and creating new music, but also being a fan. Which songs prior to the 2013 self-titled album resonate with you the most from the Queensryche catalog? Are there, 2 or 3 that have always just really resonated with you?
Sure. Roads to Madness. Let's see. Always loved. Well, The Warning was my favorite record. So every song on that record I just think is awesome, is amazing. Before the Storm, and then songs like London is a great one. NM156. I always love that. It has this great kind of atmospheric, driving, proggy, just cool as shit piece of music, man. And, NM156 is one of my favorites. So, yeah, there are some songs. I loved Mindcrime. When I first got it, I didn't like it because I didn't get it.
Right.
I was early teens, okay? And I didn't have the musical maturity to really receive that body of work. I remember back when this was, I think, pre-CDs, or I don't even think there were CDs out then. And I put the cassette in my tape player, and there was this intro, and I was like, yeah. And I hit fast forward, and it had that automatic search, remember? And it would stop at the next song, and it was like such a cool feature back in the day with tape decks. And it would go, well, it went to the end of the tape, and I thought, is my machine broken? Okay. I took it out, flipped it around. Or I think I hit program where it kind of automatically read the tape. And then I did it again. And I was like, geez, can I just hear a song? Because everything segued. I mean, it was a story. It's hailed as one of the greatest concept records ever written. And finally, I think 2 weeks after I had the tape, I was laying down in bed and I want to like this. I don't know why. I love the Warning. I got the Warning first. Oh no, I'm sorry. I got Mindcrime first. Then I went and bought the Warning. And so my friend told me how awesome it was. And I said, well, I want to like it. Let me listen. So I laid down, put the headphones on, and I really gave it an honest listen. And it's music you have to learn. It's not poppy, it's not poppy stuff that you get it in, one listen.
Right.
And so that was when I really started to appreciate everything that's going on. And that was when I broke out the lyrics and started reading and, okay, I want to learn this stuff. I really want to know these songs. And so that was when I got into that. And as much as I love Mindcrime, it's not my favorite record. My favorite records are The Warning and Rage, The Order. I love Empire. Totally different animal, but brilliant songwriting. I mean, sonically, one of the best albums ever recorded, sonically speaking. But I kind of lean towards the real earlier bodies of work.
I'm still a huge fan of the EP. They had me with Queen of the Reich, and I never walked away after that.
I know. It's such a great song. I mean, when I first got into the band, I flew to Seattle. We already had 2 shows booked for the Hard Rock, and we never played a note together. They were all kind of going on what Michael was telling them and checking out YouTube stuff from Crimson Glory, which Crimson Glory, the vocals are much higher than Queensryche. That guy's voice is unparalleled. And so when we went there and they said, okay, well, Todd, it'd probably be easier if you told us what you want to play because, we know all this stuff. And I said, okay, well, I want to do Queen of the Reich, Child of Fire, Roads to Madness. They're like, whoa, shit, we got to relearn that, And so I said, yeah, that's Queensryche. I don't want to hear, they're like, well, do you know this song? And they would say something off of Another Round. I'm like, I don't even know it. It's off Here in the Now Frontier. I'm like, I've listened to the record once. I don't know anything on it. From the EP to Empire, give me what you got. What do you want to do? This is what I want to do. I want to go old school. I want to bring it back to the sound, that style, soaring vocals. I want to do what I love. You're asking me, so I'm telling you. If you don't want to do that, oh, okay, you're Queensryche. I'll fall in line. But if you're asking me, yeah, these are the songs that I want to do. As a fan, I think fans want to hear that.
It is.
Do you want us to tune? Do you want us to tune down? No, hell no. No, we're not tuning down. I want to play it like the record, and if I need to improve on things and work on things, then I'll do that. And let me rise to you. Don't come down to me. Let me come up to you if that's what's needed. And it really wasn't really needed. We did it as they went, and it was awesome, man. The first time we did Queen of the Reich in the garage, after all those years, you could see there was this vibe in the room. It was like they were 18 again. And it was really cool, and I think that was when the spark really, lit. It happened, and it was a magical moment for me. And then later hearing the stories from them, how they looked at each other like, wow, this feels really good. This is so cool. And I used to say to Michael, especially, are there parts of songs that, you guys laugh about or joke about because it reminds you of when you were writing something and we're doing it now and you guys will still look at each other at that same part? Or, what's the nostalgia? I want to know. I'm curious, how does that feel? And he was like, yeah, it's, we went home and he talked to his wife and she's like, well, how was practice? How was rehearsal? He's like, it was awesome. He was smiling again. He was happy. And the band it was like this fresh thing in front of us. For me, I was on cloud 9.
I think the fans respond to that exuberance, if you will, that the band has again now, because they feel like they've got the band back, they've got the energy back. This is what it was all about to begin with, and that's what's really resonating with the fans. And I think you're going to find with this next album, the album after that, as long as you're continuing down the path you started on with the last album and with that energy, you're going to have fans follow along with you. You're going back in the right direction, and more than that, you guys are happy about what you're doing, and fans can feel that.
Well, that's nice to hear, and I appreciate you saying that. I mean that, because, like I said, when you're writing songs and you're listening back, you can really dig it, and then you show somebody else, and they're like, you just don't know what you don't know, and that's like I said, it's a scary thing. You don't know how it's going to be received, and I'm very hopeful. When I put the CD in the car and I'm listening to the demos, a lot of it, because it's not done, the majority of it, I really dig. I really like it, and some of the other songs, I think there are parts of it that I really like, but it needs work, and if there's a general consensus on that, then we're going to go back to the drawing board and make it the best we can. And, songs are going to get scrapped. There's stuff that's just not going to make the cut. But that's okay. Everything can't be a winner. But if overall the record is received equally as well as the last one, hopefully more, or in a different way, I will be, tickled pink. That'll be a job well done. And we'll continue to keep writing and doing more. And okay, well, what did we not do that maybe we want to do now? Okay, well, let's do that.
And we will all be excited for that in 2015, we're hoping, because we were hoping we were going to get it last year.
I know. The record, I promise you, the record will be out this year. If we're going to start beginning tracking in February sometime, it'll probably, I'm guessing, don't take my word for it exactly, but I'm guessing, I'm just going to say, I don't know, June, July, kind of like the last record. Yeah. I think that came out in July. So I think it would be safe to say that, and that'll be great because, like I say, we're playing some higher profile shows. There's only one Queensryche now, so we're not competing with another band for certain markets because one band's already played there and the other one can't now. And this is our year, man. This is our year to really maximize on territories, areas that we haven't played, festivals that we've wanted to play but haven't, and now we're getting them. And then, with that kind of exposure, that certainly helps. And then the record will come out, and hopefully that'll be, a great thing as far as the perception, and then we'll, on to the next one. And we're always going to play, when you go see Iron Maiden, if they put a brand new record out, they're not going to play the whole record. They're going to play Number of the Beast, they're going to play their classic that everyone wants to hear. And then they'll inject, so many songs of the new stuff.
Right.
Because that's what they really want to hear. But I know that the fans really want a new record. There are some bands that, even if they put a new record out, I don't know how much desire there is from the majority of fans for new material as much as they just love those songs that they've always heard and that's what they want to always hear. And then there are bands like Slayer and, they put a new record out and the fans can't wait to have it. They just want to hear it. And I think Queensryche is that way. I think the fans are really eager.
They do. They want to hear 3 or 4 songs from that new album that you just put out in the set. As a matter of fact, I had a friend ask me the other night, he said, "You're going to talk to Todd, ask him why they only played one new song at Snoqualmie." I'm like,
I know.
I'm not going to ask him that.
Well, I know. We played everything on the record except for Don't Look Back and Open Road. I don't know if we played In This Light. I don't think we did. So there's 2 or 3 songs we haven't played. But the problem is we're in the dressing room and we're going over, okay, how long is our set time? Here's our set list for, a 75-minute show or a 90-minute show, and something has to get cut. And they'll be like, all right, we're going to cut Lady Wear Black. I'm like, no, I love that song. I'll say like, cut, they'll be like, you want to scrap Lucidity? And then we have to think of the crowd. Where are we? Or, we're in Europe. I don't think they really care as much to hear that as they do in the U.S. They want to hear, they're more metal. They're typically a more old school metal crowd. they want to hear the older stuff more, I think. I could be wrong, but it's always tough. And we say, okay, well, let's play Where Dreams Go to Die. You know, we haven't played Fallout in a while. Why don't we throw that in? Okay, well, then we have to cut Walk in the Shadows. And then Michael will say, dude, we can't cut Walk in the Shadows. Everyone wants to hear that. Oh, okay. And so you're looking at all these song titles, and it's like, fuck, I don't want to cut anything. And then, of course, me, I'll be like, you know, can we just play longer?
There you go.
You know, well, you know, they have a curfew. I mean, I can sing for 2 hours. Let's do it. But, you know, there's contracts and time slots and curfews and agreements and that sort of thing. So it's just a really hard balancing act to pacify everyone with everything. There's always somebody that goes, geez, you know, I waited. Like one time we didn't play Queen of the Reich. I think there was a technical issue with the bass drum head, or something went weird, and we were going to close. I think that night with Queen of the Reich or something, and we didn't play it. And somebody was like, "I waited, you know, all these years, and I came to hear that song, and you didn't fucking play it, and I'm never coming back." And it's like, whoa, dude, you know, come on, man, we just played 16, 17 songs, and you know. There's always that one guy.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't play my song. It's like, you know, we want to make everyone happy. So,
well, I'll tell you what.
We try to be very mindful of that.
Silent Lucidity is always a pretty safe cut, because here in America it was so overplayed and it was a ballad. Mm-hmm. What people have been missing from Queensryche is the rock, the edge, that Queensryche signature. So.
Yep.
We always want Queen of the Reich or some of the new heavier stuff before we want Silent Lucidity, except for 2 or 3 girls in the crowd, and you know, they can go home and listen to it.
See, and that's funny that you say that, because I've had this discussion before with, you know, a friend or two, and it's like, the radio is not your friend like it was back in the day, and we need to do what we do, and we're not trying to write another Silent Lucidity or another, you know, some of these songs. They're great. There's nothing wrong with that, but there's a difference between a Queensryche fan liking that song and someone that likes the song that Queensryche did. So you have to say, okay, how many of Queensryche fans, you know, are going to want to hear this Silent Lucidity? Well, we have girls in the crowd. Okay, but And you know, we want everyone to be happy. So a lot of times we play it. But there's a difference between somebody really loving that song that Queensryche did, which separates them from, you know, the hardcore Queensryche fan.
Right.
And when, you know, and like you said, when we were playing Prophecy, people were like, holy crap, Prophecy, no way. You know, like, what an obscure tune to pull out of the archive and put it in the set. With Child of Fire, and we're doing, you know, Enforce and Roads to Madness in its entirety. And there's other songs that we're adding now. We're going back. We're saying, hey, what about Screaming in Digital? What about IMI or Damaged or?
Is there one you've been trying to twist their arm to put in the set?
I've been wanting to play Noyer Regal again. When I first got in the band, we had it in the set, and I think my voice is conditioned better for more of the cleaner type of singing. Crimson Glory was clean, but it had more grit. Midnight definitely had grit.
Right.
Songs like Red Sharks, and I mean, it was just really gritty. And I'm not a super clean singer. And so the challenge for me isn't as much the range as the singing it clean. Because when I was teaching myself how to sing high and do these cool screams that I like, you know, I'm singing songs like Painkiller, and I'm trying to sound exactly like Halford. So when I go for a high scream, it's easier for me to do it a certain way, and it happens to be grittier. That's not been the way Queensryche sounds. He never had any grit in his voice.
Right.
And that's what I do. So yeah, so I'm trying to think of something that, you know, I've said, hey, you know, why don't we put Noyer Regal back in? I think I can do it better this time. We only played it a few times back in the beginning. I'm trying to think of what else. Oh, I've said, hey, I really want to play Deliverance and Before the Storm off the Warning.
Mm-hmm.
I said, you know, I really want to do that. So we just added Another Rainy Night from Empire, it's a nice little change of pace. It's a great song, and we played that at Snoqualmie, and everyone was like, "Wow, cool." So we're now we've been playing a lot of the same songs in our set this whole time, and we have to change things up a bit now. So we're looking at we added Knight Rider not that long ago, and so now we're thinking of doing stuff like I said, what about London or Killing Words or Surgical Strike or Chemical Youth? Some things are really just tough to do live as a band. They say, look, we used to play that, and it just wasn't, for some reason, it just wasn't a great live song. I don't know why that is. And I say, okay, well, let's try it once. If it still feels not right, okay, then we won't do it. We'll pick something else. But I'm always going to, the EP and the Warning, especially. Mind Crime, I don't, if we play something off it, that's great. But I'm leaning more towards when the vocals were higher.
Right.
And songs that fans just haven't heard. Like, I imagine myself out there and then the band pulls out some song, you're like, holy crap, no way, they're playing this song, this is so awesome, and it's a lot of fun with that kind of stuff. So yeah, there are some songs that I say, hey, what do you guys think of this one? And everybody's always like, yeah. It's just a matter of, the next time I'm in Seattle or flying me out there and then getting rehearsals in to do that stuff. But right now the focus is just the productivity of this new material and really just buttoning up things. I'm home until the 16th, and then so from now until I leave for that show, I'll be going back into each song. There's notes on, and say, okay, re-sing this verse. Okay, there's another verse I need to write for this song. I need to do harmonies here. There's some other stuff there. So I just want to start really tying the loose ends on each of these songs, and then we'll give it another full listen, and then start deciding on, pre-production, okay, what needs to be done on this song. I mean, there are many songs that are wrapped up, and I think a guitar solo might need to be written or something, but they're there.
So our last question, just for fun before we get out of here, it's the end of the year. All the album lists have come out. I don't know if you get a chance during the year to listen to a lot of stuff, but did you have one album that really sang to you last year, your top album of the year?
I don't get a chance to listen to a lot of new stuff. I can name a couple right off the top of my head. I love the new Saxon record. That song Sacrifice just is awesome. The new Striper record I thought was completely true to form to their sound and style. It was awesome. Let me see what else. I just got the new Riot album, so I'm anxious to hear that. I haven't listened to it yet. I just got it yesterday.
One of my favorite albums of the year. You're going to love it.
Cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing that. And let's see if there's anything else that I can think of off the top of my head. Pagan's Mind. They're a Norwegian band. If you're not familiar with them, check them out. They're called Pagan's Mind. One of the best singers out there. His name is Nils Rue. He's just probably one of the best live singers I've ever heard. They're a totally killer band. So probably their newest release. And then there's another band out of Norway called Triosphere. They're great people. They toured with us when I was in Crimson Glory. They're really great people. And I remember when we were touring, they gave me the Road Less Traveled album, and it's one of my all-time favorites. I love it. And so I just talked to Marius, the guitar player.
Right.
And he said, hey, we're going to be in Florida for the 70,000 Tons of Metal. I hope we get to hook up, and I'd love to see you. And I said, congratulations on the new record. I haven't heard it yet. So I want to get the record, but that's another one that I really want to hear. And I'm sure that it won't disappoint. They're a really great band.
Absolutely. Trust me, it was the best album of the year. Riot's new album was probably right there in the top 10 as well. All right, so our pointless question of the week as we race out the door, if you could appear on any television series, either as yourself or as a guest or as a character, what would it be?
Oh, my gosh, I don't even watch TV. If I could be a guest appearance. Well, the one show that I wanted to be on, okay, I'll say it. I would love to be on the Jimmy Fallon show. I love Jimmy Fallon. He's funny as hell. I've followed him all through the beginnings of the Saturday Night Live thing, and I think he's just really great. So I would love to be a guest on the Jimmy Fallon show. The other show that I always wanted to be a guest on, it was a dream come true, was on that metal show. I used to stare at that show and say, talk about this band, talk about that band. You know, I don't want to hear just the mainstream stuff. Let's get into the metal. And I used to look at the TV and go, one day I'm going to be on that show. One day, is before I was in Queensryche. One day I'm going to be on that show. And goddamn, if I didn't get to be on it, it was an amazing experience, and they were really great people. So that's my answer. Jimmy Fallon, he rocks.
Perfect. Todd La Torre, Queensryche, the new album. Hopefully we'll have it by early summer. We're looking forward to it. Thanks so much for
Yes, sir.
interview.
It's my pleasure, and thank you so much for the interest and the support. And on behalf of everyone in Queensryche, we just want to thank all the listeners, and thank you for taking the time to interview.
Absolutely. Take care, brother.